afraid of something. It's part of the human experience to be afraid of things. But I have to say that there's not a lot of things that absolutely petrify me. I don't walk out of the house afraid of the world. But just like everybody else, there are things that petrify me at times, especially late at night when I'm just contemplating life in general. The three things that I was able to come up with for this video are, I guess you could call them generic fears, but I mean, if they're things that everybody's afraid of, I guess there's a lot of us to so that we understand. The first thing that I came up with that I'm really, really afraid of is death. And I know that sounds like, well, duh. But I mean, there's a couple of layers of it. The idea of me dying or people I know dying or just death in general is really scary to me. But the thing that really I contemplate, I guess, and that really bothers me in movies, and I love horror movies, granted. I love horror movies, I love roller coasters, I love all of that, like, scary stuff, but in horror movies, I will look away if they show decaying, dead bodies. I'm not sure if that fear of seeing that stems from my own death and like me being afraid of what's going to happen to my body, but all I know is that when those scenes come on, I have a very hard time watching them. I still look away. I know it's fake, and I've gotten to the point where I can watch like raw carnage and people getting their heads ripped off and stuff. But if it's been dead for a while, I won't watch it. I'll look away. I will watch the movie, but I will look away, and I'm not fond of zombie movies for that reason. The second layer to being afraid of death is just the fear of getting old. But what I really am afraid of as far as getting old is just sort of the idea of losing my marbles. Like you see these old people, and it makes me really sad to see these doddering old people at these, old folks' homes that don't know what's going on. They get really upset really easily, and they have to have people take care of them. I would rather live out my life not having that happen. And obviously, that's no guarantee, but I'm doing my darndest to make sure that I'll keep my sanity. I guess that's really what I'd like is to keep my sanity when I get old. The second part of that sort of side note as far as being afraid of death is concerned is even if I keep my marbles, obviously your body wears out, and I guess I'm just like afraid of the time when I'm 85 or 90 or however long we'll be living to that at that point of like looking at young people and being like, you know, if my heart worked, or if my liver wasn't failing, or if my back didn't hurt, I would go run a marathon. Jake, at that point, you can't. And that's when you start looking back on your life like, oh, I could have done this, I could have climbed Mount Everest, I could have bungee jumped, and now I can't, or I'll die. I don't know. The idea of just not having the option to do anything anymore is really scary too. So that kind of all falls under death as far as I'm concerned. The second thing is really, really silly. Even talking about it makes me laugh myself because it's so silly, but it does petrify me. Bugs scare the pants off me. Mostly not even them themselves. They're creepy looking, granted, centipede spiders, ew. But the part that actually scares me and makes my skin crawl is the idea of them on me, like just crawling up my arm, or just their existence freaks me out. And they do it on purpose. I swear, these spiders, when they'll like, when you're just minding your own business and all of a sudden just their little string comes down and they're just dangling right in your face, I swear to God, they're laughing at me because I will freak out. I won't kill them. I can't even kill them. That's how afraid of them I am. I don't want to get close enough to kill them. I don't want to hear that little crunch when you smash them. No, none of it. I want them to live, whatever, but I won't deal with it. I will literally go and get somebody to deal with it. That just happened to me today. My mom was getting the laundry off the line outside, and there was this spider on my skirt that she somehow didn't see. It was the size of my thumbnail, I swear to God. And I actually cried out in fear of my life. I don't know why I thought what I thought. They just scare me. And I literally had to go outside and get her to come and deal with it. And she laughed at me. And she should have, because that's a really, really irrational fear. But nonetheless, ew. I'm really scared of them crawling on me. The third thing that I was going to talk about as far as fear is concerned is just a fear of making irrevocable choices. Like if I have to make a choice and it's gonna affect my whole life and I can't take it back, I am petrified that I'll make a choice that I'll regret. Like I was talking about with being old. I'm afraid that I'm gonna make a choice that's gonna make me upset when I'm older. Like, why didn't I do that? Or why did I do that? Or like, I don't know, just stuff like that really freaks me out. Like when I got into NYU, for example, I thought that it was going to be one choice that was going to be easy to make, and I was never going to look back on it and be like, why did I do that? But then when I found out that I was going to be $300,000 in debt by the end of it, I had to say no, and it was really hard for me to do because it's one of those things, and even right now, I still think about it like maybe I would have come out of it okay. Maybe I would have gotten a really good job. I could have paid it off in a few years, but I had to make the choice to say no because it was never going to work out for me otherwise. Or it might not have. There was a really good chance. And just the idea of making more choices like that and not knowing if they'll turn out okay, that does keep me up at night sometimes. That's probably a fear that I actively have a lot of the time. Well, that brings me to the end of this second video. This was an interesting one because I hadn't really thought that deeply into why I'm afraid of certain things before, so it's kind of an interesting psychological thing for me. I'm really interested to hear what your three fears are, actually. I have no idea what you're going to say. And I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.